To start developing your images, click on the Develop module, which is right next to the Library module. You will notice the settings changed on the left side and the right side of the bars. On the left side, you have two elements that are your preset and history. As mentioned in the first video, a Lightroom preset is a predetermined position for all or some of the sliders in Lightroom. In other words, you can edit a photo to achieve a certain style or look, then save the exact combination of slider positions for future use or another image. There are many other presets that are readily available made by professional photographers in which you can download. However, since we are just developing our understanding of the program, we will not be using presets. The history showcases all the actions you have taken when editing, starting from the import. You can go back on previous actions just by clicking on the action that you want to go back to. On the right side, you have your histogram. The first thing you see will be the histogram. It's a graph that shows the current tonal values of your image, whether the original photo was over or underexposed. To read the histogram, you have the blacks, shadows, midtones, highlights, and whites. You can drag the histogram to edit your image directly. There are two other things you have on the histogram, which include the clippings. These are two little triangles on the top corner in which you can make your image darker or lighter just by moving it. When you start moving your image right or left, you'll start noticing some blue clippings, which means that it is too dark. And if it starts seeing red clippings, it'll indicate that the image is too bright or pure white. Use the keyboard shortcut J to show and hide your clippings. Hovering over on the left will show clipped blacks in blue, and hovering on the triangle on the right will show clipped whites in red. To reset any edits you made, click on the button Reset. To start editing, you want to adjust your white balance. The first thing you want to do is to balance the colors on your image. There are three ways you can do it. First is to use the eyedropper tool and click on a neutral color, which is usually white. Then you can set the color balance of your image. Second, you can select on the type of lighting you like to choose so that it will give you the correct white balance. Third is to do it manually by adjusting the temperature and tint sliders. To adjust your tone, it adjusts the black, white, midtones, and shadows of your image. There is an auto feature, but this wouldn't usually work for all images. It's really better to just do it manually. When adjusting the tones, refer to your histogram and check if you are doing too much to an image. You will be moving the sliders around based on how you want your photo to look, and it really depends on the lighting and situation of the photo. If ever you want to look at where you came from, hit the backslash, which is underneath the Delete keyboard. The next thing you will do is to adjust the presence. What this will do is add pop and color to your image. But honestly, adjusting too much of anything will make your photo look overdone. The tendency with the clarity or texture feature is that a lot of beginners tend to use too much of it, and that's when it starts looking too in-depth and just not as nice. So make sure that you have a good balance of the clarity or texture if you want to bring out some depth. If you reduce the clarity, it's going to make your image soft, but don't use this feature to soften skin as it will ruin the quality of your image. The next thing you want to do is vibrance and saturation. The vibrance feature changes the color in the midtones, while the saturation is the adjustment of the overall color of the image. A suggestion to give your photo a natural look is reducing the vibrance instead of lifting the saturation. However, this also really depends on the image and the style that you decide you want to do. Adjusting your tone curve is looking at all things including the colors independently. On the top section, you can click on the different tones and then adjust it accordingly. The bottom section shows the shadows, while the highlights show the highlights. It's not affecting any color at all, but it's a good way for you to balance your image. You can add all of your points onto the tone curve. You can also click on the color channel you prefer, red, green, or blue. To get rid of points, you can hit the delete button, but this is really up to your exploration and see how it might fit your image. The next thing is actually my favorite part. This is adjusting the HSL, hue, saturation, and luminance. This feature will allow you to adjust the color of your image. For the hue, you can select on the color you would like to adjust, and you can move the slider to adjust the color tone on the image. For the saturation, you can change the intensity of the color, so depending on how strong you want the color to appear, you can adjust it from left to right. For the luminance, it's adjusting as how much light you want to go through that color, so I'll actually make it lighter or darker. To adjust the detail, the feature will allow you to adjust the sharpening and detail of the image. The more you sharpen, it gives more detail. To see the sharpening clearly, you can hold Alt Option so that it transforms it to black and white. The masking feature means that it's ignoring the edges, or it only looks at the edges. For example, anything that is white it is affecting, and anything that is black is not. Just be careful when adjusting the sharpness, as it will ruin and deteriorate the image. When adjusting noise reduction, you'll have your image with a lot of noise. You can use this feature to decrease the number of noise, but just be careful when you're using this feature, because if you do too much, your image might end up looking too smudgy and it will lose its clarity. If you happen to have images that are from the same environment and you don't want to be creating multiple edits, make sure you are on your edited image, select on the photo that you want to sync the edits of, hold the multiple selections if you want to select multiple, and click sync. This will allow you to reduce the time you spend editing and just focus on making minor adjustments to different images. Let's test your understanding by doing the following. Start editing an image and adjust the following on Lightroom. Adjust the white balance, adjust the presence, adjust the tone curve or tone, adjust the HSL, hue, saturation, and luminance, adjust the detail, adjust the noise reduction, and then sync an image to another image to create the same presets.